Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Emily and I'm here for my weekly cross stitch update. It's Thursday the 20th of April. It's about 8:30 at night, so we've not got much light left. Yeah, times have changed at work. We're now working a lot longer. She just instantly overnight decided that we were going to stay open a couple hours longer every day. So yeah, whereas I used to get my afternoon and now I get an evening. So there we go. So I've had a busy week. I'm absolutely shattered. I feel shattered. I've already had a sleep. I'm just like flat. I went this time last week when I spoke to you. I was all excited. I was getting in my car first thing Friday morning and driving down to Maddie. Yeah, I got on the road at 5:15 in the morning and I drove and got to Maddie for 9 o'clock. Absolutely brilliant journey down, just straight there, no problem. And I had a Friday, a Saturday, and about half of Sunday with Maddie. And on Saturday we went into London on the train, and we had a really good time. I've got some little clippy bits of like touristy, taking like a little, with my camera around the Thames and what have you. So I'll put that on right at the end. It's not very long, and then there's a little bit at the end where we went round the Fitzwilliam Museum on Sunday morning, which was rather lovely. It had an eclectic mix of all kinds of things in there, like bits and bobs. I think things that wealthy patrons have gifted to the museum. The Fitzwilliam is the one, if anyone's familiar with Cambridge, is the ones with the gold pineapples on the railings outside. Very, very lovely building. Most of the pictures I took were of the mosaic floors, and I took a lot of pictures of the marble hands for Lizzy, my middle daughter, who is looking to do fine art, and she draws hands, but she draws hands from her brain. And to get the marking scheme in the A level, you have to use primary source references, and she paints from her imagination, which isn't helpful in the big marking scheme. So I've taken lots of photographs of people like of the marbles inside to help her with some pictures that look a bit like the pictures she's drawn. So that was good. We ate out quite a lot, just easy stuff, easy stuff. We avoided McDonald's, but I did go in Taco Bell, which we went Friday night and got pudding, and we got churros and some funny little puffed crispy things with cinnamon sugar on. And as my only introduction to Taco Bell, that was perfect. She said everything else wasn't worth it, so that was great for me. So we did that, and we got a coffee, and we walked back to hers. So we did like 8 miles on Friday, 11 miles in London, and then like 5 miles the next day. So completely worn out. I left at lunch. I left at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Whizzed up the motorway, whizzed up the A14, whizzed along, across the A14, got on the M6, whizzed up the M6, got through the toll road, which is the bit where you pay to use. And as I got off at the end of the toll road, I hit standing traffic where a lorry had burnt itself into the tarmac and the motorway was closed. So it took me an hour and a bit to go from the 1 mile to junction 12 to half a mile to junction 12. It then took me nearly another hour to get from half a mile to junction 12 off at junction 12. And as I put my Google Maps on to find my way back onto the motorway, because this is Stafford, which is nowhere near anywhere I've ever been, and couldn't negotiate my way out of a plastic bag there, my data went. So I was driving blind. I thought I'm just going to follow. I thought everybody's going to be following the same route. There was nothing signposted at all. Everyone will be following the same route. The cars went like this everywhere. So I literally just followed a car. It had a roof box on. It looked like it was going north. It looked like they were going somewhere like holiday-ish. So I just followed them. I got back on at junction 14 and that took another hour. So I was super late getting home. I was ratty, and the next day I was not much good. Didn't get a lot done, and then I worked Tuesday. And then Tuesday when I got home from work, Um, I got home, and the first thing my little boy said to me is, Lizzy fell down the stairs. I don't know if she's okay. So, like, panic. Why did nobody tell me? Went running up to Lizzy, and Lizzy's like, I fell up the stairs, and what she'd done, carrying her tea, she'd fallen, she'd tripped going up the stairs, tried to save her tea, so she'd fallen against the wooden, no carpet, nothing, just the wooden staircase without her hands. So the middle of her shin, about this far below her knee on her right shin, was, say that's her shin there, was swollen like that. It was a very, very big bump. So I was like, you okay? Here, have some paracetamol, kiss it better, you'll be all right, love. It's a shin, not much can go wrong. It didn't hurt her knee, she was walking on it, but it was very, very swollen. About an hour later, she came through, and she wasn't, I could see she wasn't happy. And I said, she said, I'm going to come and sulk in with you. So she came and jumped on my bed, and I turned around and she was weeping, and I was like, oh, Lizzy, what's the matter? And I think it scared her how much it was hurting and how much it had swollen up. So we went to A&E. Now, we got to the hospital at about 8:10. We got triaged within half an hour, and then we sat in the waiting room until 1 in the morning. This is after a full day at work. I did 8:30 until 5, which I know is not a long shift, but I've not been doing long shifts. I've been doing short shifts for months. So I did quite a long day, and then got home, sat down for less than an hour, and then had to get back in my car. Now I do live in the sticks, and it takes 40 minutes to get to the hospital from my house. So I had to drive from there to the hospital, and then we sat there until 1 in the morning. The doctor saw her, said, oh, okay, we'll send you to X-ray. Went to X-ray, 10 minutes at X-ray, getting an X-ray. Well, I'd like all the lights off. It was like the middle of the night by then. Got back to the waiting room, half an hour in the waiting room, and doctor said, yep, it's no damage. Take painkillers, goodbye. So we got home about 2 o'clock in the morning. So I lost Wednesday in a fug. I was at work, did 9 till 6-ish. About 6:30 I finally, we'd finished all the jobs and we were off home. And it's a blur. So today I've been off, and I've actually had a day off, so I've just sort of sat and done nothing today, which has been okay. So not a lot of stitching to show you. I've forgotten my book, so that was a lot of blurb. I've talked for 6 minutes about nothing. So there are clips of, there's a little, I've already processed the video and moved it onto my tablet, so I can just tag it onto the end. I'm going to leave the sound on. There's no music or anything. I shouldn't get clobbered for it. It's mostly just people talking, like background noise, just to show you it was busy. And it was a beautiful day in London. We walked once, we went to the Sea Life Centre, so there's a little tiny bit of aquarium, if that foxes you, because that's what Maddie decided she wanted to do. So I'm back to London now. My brain's working all out of sync. So we went into London, and we went to Goldhawk Road, which is where Bernadette Banner, who of course I watched because I think everybody watches her, the number of subscribers she has, everybody must watch her, said that was where the fabric quarter was, and she was absolutely right. We basically walked between Goldhawk Road tube station and Shepherd's Bush Market tube station, and we looked in lots of fabric shops, got some fabric for to make a skirt and like a gypsy blouse. She wants a gypsy blouse that laces down the front with the cuffs in the same fabric as her skirt. She picked like a chocolate brown moleskin for her skirt, so that she'll make a nice heavy drapey skirt, and then she'll have an underbust corset to join the two together for her May ball. But they're going to both be wearable items for later. So we got a lovely slubby ivory silk, like a raw silk, a really beautiful slubby silk for her shirt, which is going to hang beautifully. So we did that, and it was just fabric shop after fabric shop after fabric shop. And once I've got brave, there's basements. You go into these narrow little shops with bolts of fabric all across, and then you go downstairs and it's like basements, and there's like fabric stacked, like standing up, but like 8-10 rolls deep. Ooh, we just went right out of focus. I hope that's okay. I hope I'm still in focus. To me, that looks a bit blurry. That might be my eyes. I'm a bit tired. Yeah, so then we went back on the tube. When we got the fabric, we went back on the tube and we went to, I need to show you cross stitch before it gets dark. Because I think my camera's struggling. I'm just going to wipe across a second, guys. I feel blurry. I feel like I'm not quite in. Look, I'm not quite in focus. I think the light's going. I'm going to show you cross stitch while I talk, otherwise we're not going to get any light. So I'll tell you about the rest of the tube in a bit when it doesn't matter. Right, so the first, I've worked on the 4 projects I've been working on. I'm trying to get the chicken finished for March. Of course, it's April. I should be finishing them before. This is on my mum's 12 Days of Christmas. So the chicken is now here. I'm going to hopefully get this finished in the next couple of days. I'm going to concentrate. Okay, my light's cutting in and out now. I'll have to go and get my big light. I'll do that in a minute. I'll put it on pause in a minute and go and get my big light. So I'm going to try and get this chicken finished in the next couple of days, and then I've got 3 French hens, 4 calling birds. I've got the 4 to do as well for April. So I'm going to try and get the 3 finished and try and batter onto this 4 a little bit. So I'm going to try and concentrate on this for a couple of days. I really do need some better light. So I've got on with that. My treasure hunt bookshelf I've done almost nothing on. I'm pretty sure I've done almost nothing on. Hang on a minute. Right, I think that's better. I just got to be careful where I put my head now because the light is now reflecting on the window. So I'll be a bit more careful. Right, I feel a bit better now. Let me show you that again. So yeah, that's loads better. So there's the chicken that I'm working on, and then I'll get on with the 4 calling birds. But I feel like I'm quite close because a lot of this is green. A lot of this is green. There's just 3, and then all the background's mostly green. So I've got a lot I can just get on with there. So that's pretty good. Treasure hunt bookshelf. Last time I filmed, it looked like this, and I don't know if I've done a great deal because I haven't got my book with me. I did bring a book, but it's a book of a little bit of all. So let me find Pattern Keeper and I'll find where I am. Treasure hunt bookshelf is there. It's at 11.47, so I have done some. So I've just shown you a picture of what it looked like before, and now it's here now. So I think I've done this bit here. I think there's 3 colours in there. I've done a little bit up there and a little bit down here. So you can see how much I'm kind of looking to fill in as I head to the other corner. I'm not just doing a little tiny string, but I'm not doing like neat set boxes either. So I've done a little bit on this. Obviously I need to get this to 12% by the end of the month, so I'm going to have to do a good chunk of this as well. But I'll get there. Right. Now, my Pilgrim, which is looking beautiful in this light, I have done some odd bits. So when we were sitting in A&E on Tuesday night, I brought this with me. I knew in advance there would be a wait. The NHS is brilliant. Our British system works beautifully. It is free at point of use. We all pay for the NHS through our national insurance. So the NHS is essentially free if you're British, if you live here. Sorry, I've got an enormous pimple here. It's driving me insane. I don't know why I've got one. I'm 46. I really should do better. Anyway, I think it's because I've been run down. I'm very tired and I've been run down. So it's annoying me because I can see it and I've never been pimply. Anyway, that's by the by. Anyway, so I brought this with me and I'm working on this page here, down here. Last week it looked like this, the bit that I'm working on, and this week it looks like this. So I finished the horse and I've started on the next little piece. So I've done quite a bit there. It's currently sitting at 75.14%. So I've done a couple of percent, I think, which is probably 1,000 stitches or so, but maybe a bit more. So that's there. And then I realised that I had a load of part threads, which were really annoying me because they were dangling and they looked messy. So I said to Lizzy, right, while we're sitting here, I'm just going to work in my part threads. So this page here, I've done some back stitch because now I have the PDF, I've got the back stitch. So the back stitch was here. I had a thread parked here, so I did these zigzag joiny uppy bits. And this flower, I'm holding this really badly, I'm sorry, it's because I've not taken because I'm being lazy. Right, taking the frame off now, let's be able to show you properly. Right, so I took the strand here, did this piece of back stitch. Thank you. Copy. Always a winner. And I had a part thread here, so I've done a tiny bit of squirrel bum, and I had a part thread here, so I've done a tiny bit there. This is down into the page below. I'd stopped right at the line of the page, so there's a little bit here and a little bit down, and I did any back stitch I could see, so that there was the feather in the hat of the crow here, and these little diddles here. So I did a little bit of back stitch there, and then I went over here and I had 3 part threads over here, which were dangly and horrible. So before we got seen, I said to Lizzy, I'm going to see if I can do this leg. There's a big winged beast here with a big clawy face. So I came down his leg. The part thread was about, well, it was there, wasn't it? Because that's the line. That's the line of the page. So I did his leg. And then I jumped across here and I did the bunny, and just today I've just joined up because it was there. So I've done this bit today. So it's not quite a page I went for there, but you can see where it's just gone below the line. I just worked in the part threads and then I finished off his funny foot. So that's my Pilgrim. Very happy with the progress. It's at 75%. I'm not going to push myself. I'm putting in 1 or 2 strands, so that's 3 lengths, 3 or 6 lengths a day of the silk each day, depending. And then on Tuesday night I put in an awful lot more because I was sitting in A&E, and that's what I took with me to do. And once everybody has looked and everybody has stared, they've looked and they've stared. Nobody spoke to me, nobody asked, which is fine. You know, I'll speak to people and explain to them what I do if that's necessary, but it wasn't because nobody asked. Everybody was just caught up with themselves, I think. So it was fine, and we just sat there. And Lizzy did some online revision because she lost her evening of revision as well. I did warn her we were going to be there hours and we were probably just going to get sent back home, which is what happened. But she was scared and she wanted it to be seen, so I took her and got it seen. So that's what we do, isn't it? Right, Mini Autumn's Promise. I have made more good progress. I'm not 100% sure that I am going to get this done. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm not 100% sure. But I am really going great guns on it. Again, I can't tell you how much I've done in the week, but I can tell you I am at 78.5%. So I think that was about 71, so I've done like 7% this week maybe. I've got 10 days. So if I do another 7%, 78, no, I'm not going to get it done, but I have done a lot. This is where it was last week when I filmed, and right now it looks like this. So it's getting there. colour completed all the white, so most of this is now filled in, and this wasn't filled in before. There's just a few tiny bits up this side of the branch that aren't filled, and there's just I've done all of this, which was 158 and 3042, I think it was. I've done around here, and I've colour completed these 3 big chunks of colour. So today I've done colour completed 2 colours in the branch. There was a green 500 and something else I can't remember, but I've colour completed 2 colours in the branch today. So mostly up here is naked, here and here is naked, and other than that it's just odd colours that I need to fill in. So he is getting on for being done, and just today I put a blob of pink, accidentally, a blob of pink Fimo there. I had some shavings on my bed and there is now a blob of pink Fimo on it, but I will scrub that off when this foulness gets washed. So you can see I've got a big chunk along here to do as well, but it's mostly 2 or 3 colours, I think. So Mini Autumn's Promise is coming along, but I honestly don't think I'm going to get it finished in April, and May is just going to be Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, so it might roll. But I'm going to keep going. I've not given up. I'm just saying I might not make it. I've had a bit of unexpectedness this month. So on Friday, Maddie took me to the charity shops in Cambridge. There's the Grafton, I think, is an area where she says, Maddie's very matter of fact. She says this is a place for people. There's 3 types of people who live in Cambridge. There's people who come from Cambridge, born and bred. There's people who live in Cambridge, like the academics and the grown-ups, like the tutors and the people who work in medical research. You know, they finish their degrees and things like that. So there's that type of people. And there's people that go there, i.e. the students. So the area where the charity shops are, and there was literally like 10, it was amazing, is a place where people who come from Cambridge. So it was really nice rummage, actually. I got a couple of little bits and bobs, got some tiny cutters, and which was a fun find, and a funny cape thing, like a capelet, which is just teal in my perfect colour. And I found the only piece of cross stitch I found in Oxfam, by the looks of it, one cross stitch book, and it is terrible. It belonged to a lady called Rachel Smith from the year 2000, so that dates it beautifully. Fantasy cross stitch, and here was me giggling to Maddie at the very funny. And I bought the book, but I was giggling about, there's a Viking in here, let me find him, oh, and a lady, here they are. And I was like, oh, Maddie, here, look, you want me to stitch you these guys? And she was like, oh, I really don't. But then, in the book, why I bought the book, sorry, the colour's just completely blown out, back to normal please, it has the nicest set of zodiacs that I have seen for a very long time. So there are some really lovely zodiac patterns in here, which aren't the lady who wrote the book's patterns, actually. She's charted them from someone else's artwork. She's written in, I read the blurb, but they are quite lovely. Let me find some of the others. There's Gemini. Isn't that glorious? Like Egyptian. And then we've got, oh, here we go. We've got Pisces. We've got Aquarius. I'm not sure. And then Cancer, the crab there. Isn't he lovely? Isn't she lovely? The water carrier. Aquarius? I'm not sure. Pisces fish, Aquarius. Sorry to anyone who's Aquarius who's going, oh my god, what is she talking about? So the Celestial Heavens patterns is why I bought the book, because they were wonderful. It says they are designed by, she did say, I think it's at the back where she says who they were actually designed by. Acknowledgements. Blah, 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 blah. Zodiac designs from original paintings by Leander Cross. Leander Cross. Thanks, Leander. They make the book look beautiful. So that she's charted them from Leander's original artwork there, and I just think they're the loveliest patterns. Don't know if I'll stitch them, when I'll stitch them, if I'll stitch them, but that to me was worth the $3.99 that I paid for this book. Give or take the entertaining early 2000s patterns as well, which are entertaining, and I wouldn't have bought the book for them, but the Zodiacs were lovely. So that was the only bit of cross-stitchy haul I found, and I bought it. I wasn't going to, I was being silly until I saw the Zodiacs, and I was like, oh, hang on a minute, these are actually really, really, really lovely. They're little full coverage, of fit in hoops beautifully, and I'd really like to do the whole set actually. But there we go. Right, I've rambled on. There will be a clip at the end here of just sights in London. Maddie wanted to see the Houses of Parliament because she thinks inevitably, eventually, she'll probably end up working in and around that sort of thing. I think it's the way she's kind of heading. So I don't know. So we went back we were on the Circle line, so we just stayed on and we got off at Westminster and trundled out of the tube station, and I'd never got off at Westminster before, and we got out of the tube station. Anyone who lives in London or has been to London is going to say, I'd stopped, got out, looked up, and there was Big Ben, picture there. And I was like, oh my god, he's there, the clock tower. I know Big Ben is the bell, and he's got all this scaffolding down, and he was bing bonging, and it was just, I was like, oh my god, he's right there, Maddie, look, he's there. And she was like, yeah, I can see it. And we walked right around the House of Parliament. It was an absolutely beautiful day. So there's a little look around there. Absolutely beautiful building. And then the back of Westminster Abbey. Now, when I used to paint glass for Winged Heart, my old company I used to work for, I've painted so many Westminster Abbey, like the front, the two little towers of Westminster Abbey, the front of it. I could paint it in my sleep. I used to paint it on glass hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, you know, we screen printed a black. If you've been with me a long time, you might have seen some of the things that I used to do. Anyway, I used to screen print the image onto glass and then hand paint it with like resin paint to hang in windows. So I've painted hundreds of them, and to actually I only saw the back of it. We didn't walk round to the front. It was busy, and it was quite, you know, we were like a bit overwhelmed. And I was just like, oh my god, it's actually there. And I was doing that. I had that sort of excitement of it, and then we went up to the bridge, and I was like, oh look, Maddie, there's the Eye, and there's Shell Centre, and there's Shellmec's house, which are the only bits that I've kind of been to, because my life before then, before kids, I worked for Shell. So, you know, I've been down to London in my other lifetime. 20 plus years ago, I used to go down to London to go to functions. So yeah, it's been a long, long time. But we had a lovely walk, and then I wanted to go out to Tower Bridge. So that basically nearly did for Maddie, because I started off walking, and it's a long way. It's a long further than you think. So we got on the tube, and it was one of those deep, really fast tubes, and I think it discombobulated Maddie, because that was her over. She was done. She was like, I've had enough now. So we had to then get back to King's Cross to get the train back without her completely losing her shit, which we just about managed. And then we had some tea, and then we went home. So that was fine. Anyway, I've had a really good time. It's got completely dark while I've been sitting here, which is great. And yeah, I'll hopefully have a better week and get some sleep, and I probably look about 400 years older than I was. I've driven, what, 650 miles, and my new little car was brilliant. Did the job beautifully, got me there safe, got me back safe, give or take the motorway being closed, which actually made me crazy because I was doing so well up until then. And then I just lost 2.5 hours, just disappeared, which makes what was going to be just over a 4-hour trip for me ridiculous. Anyway, all's well that ends well. Everything's fine, and we'll keep trucking for a little while. Right guys, I'll see you next week. We'll still be in April. Hopefully I'll have more progress to show you, and I'll be nearer on my treasure hunt bookshelf, and hopefully I'll finish that bloody chicken, because he was meant to be done in March and it's nearly the end of April. So I'll see you next week guys. Bye bye for now. Unbelievably touristy. Yeah. And then just the other side of there, Big Ben in there.
Because the meat to lay on a soundboard feels like a lot like a lovely green.
Oh, beautiful. Go this way so that other people look at us, okay?
I know. It's alright. You're just high enough to miss everybody. Yes.